The NFL, the actual league office, allegedly told Cleveland, "Start him. Now." Shedeur Sanders isn't just being pushed into the spotlight. He's being catapulted into it. And it's not because he's the most prepared, or because the Browns suddenly developed a brilliant long-term quarterback strategy. No, this isn't about schemes or game plans or coaching philosophies. This is about ratings. This is about money. This is about turning Shedeur Sanders into the NFL's next golden goose, whether he's ready or not. This is a league that thrives on storylines. And the NFL looked at Cleveland, boring, battered, desperate Cleveland, and saw a new way to sell drama.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Start him. Put him under the lights. Let him either rise or crash. Just make it big. Let's be real. This isn't football anymore. This is entertainment. It's the NFL's billion-dollar reality show. And the Browns? They've suddenly found themselves at the center of a machine they can't control. You think this is a conspiracy? Look at the patterns. Look at the timing. Just weeks ago, Sanders was buried on the depth chart behind Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. A flashy rookie, sure, but not ready by the team's official stance. Developmental. Long-term play. Let him learn behind the vets. Standard playbook stuff. But then, the media frenzy started heating up. Reporters hovering around practice. Mic'd-up moments going viral. Sports shows looping his training camp throws like he was already a Pro Bowler. TikToks. IG Reels. ESPN countdowns. Suddenly, Shedeur's persona was everywhere, and the league noticed. Why? Because Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a spectacle. The pedigree. The personality. The polished media presence. The Instagram-ready drip. The cinematic family narrative. The Dion connection. The made-for-TV swagger. This is a league that thrives on storylines. And the NFL looked at Cleveland, boring, battered, desperate Cleveland, and saw a new way to sell drama. Start him. Put him under the lights. Let him either rise or crash. Just make it big. Let's be real. This isn't football anymore. This is entertainment. It's the NFL's billion-dollar reality show. And Shedeur Sanders? Whether he likes it or not, he's now the lead character. The Browns didn't ask for this. In fact, they tried to avoid it. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry were reportedly furious about the league's suggestions. They wanted control. They wanted time. They wanted development. They believed in patience. But guess what? The NFL doesn't care about patience. It cares about clicks. It cares about Nielsen ratings. It cares about Thursday night football numbers and jersey sales and mobile app engagement and international markets. And right now, Sanders is hotter than any other name in the rookie class. So now, Stefanski's being told who his starter should be. Berry's being pulled into closed-door meetings. And Shedeur's jersey is being rushed into national retail outlets before he's even taken a snap. You feel that? That's not momentum. That's pressure. Crushing, league-sanctioned pressure. Because when the NFL decides you're the next face of the league, it doesn't ask. It tells. And let's be honest, this has nothing to do with development and everything to do with spectacle. The league doesn't care if the Browns are ready. It doesn't care if the playbook fits. It doesn't care if the O-line is still shaky or if the rookies barely had time to sync with his receivers. It just cares that Cleveland versus Baltimore sounds a lot more interesting with Sanders under center. You see where this is going? They're not just promoting him. They're setting the stage for a narrative. One that's bigger than football. One that drives emotion. They want drama. They want a prodigy. They want the highs, the lows, the mistakes, the redemption arc. They want America watching. Because if Shedeur flames out, that's a story. If he dominates, that's a franchise. Either way, it's ratings gold. And the Browns? They're just the stage. Let's talk about the consequences of this circus. Shedeur is now in an impossible position. He's expected to save a cursed franchise and prop up the league's viewership numbers. He's being fast-tracked through a developmental arc that usually takes years, not weeks. And you have to wonder, is this a setup? Because if he struggles early, who takes the blame? The league? The front office? The ownership? No, he will. The same media machine that put him on the throne will turn the camera around and say, "See? Not ready. Overhyped. Another bust." But this was never fair to begin with. This is what happens when football stops being football and starts being content. And Shedeur, whether he knows it or not, is already caught in the middle of the NFL's oldest trick. Use the star to sell the show. Then blame the star when the script gets messy. And it will get messy. Because this isn't about just playing the game anymore. This is about playing the league's game. It's about camera angles and primetime moments and legacy narratives and monetizing a 21-year-old with a famous last name and an even more famous Instagram feed. And look, we're not saying Shedeur can't handle it. If anyone's built for this pressure, it's him. But he deserves more than to be dropped into this meat grinder just because the NFL needs a mid-season ratings boost. Because the danger here is that if it doesn't go perfectly, if the Browns continue to struggle, if the locker room fractures under the media circus, the league walks away clean. And Shedeur? He's left holding the bag. And that's the dirty truth no one wants to say out loud. This isn't about what's best for Shedeur. It's about what's best for business. And when that's the priority, everything else becomes disposable. The player, the team, the season, all secondary to the story. So what now? Will Stefanski bend to the pressure and start Sanders just to keep the league off his back? Will ownership roll over and play nice for the cameras, even if it means sacrificing long-term stability for short-term hype? Will Shedeur rise above all of this and actually deliver under the brightest, most artificial lights football has to offer? Because make no mistake, he's not just being handed the keys to the franchise. He's being dragged onto the biggest stage in sports with every spotlight pointed directly at his helmet. He's not just playing defense reads anymore. He's playing league politics. And you can't game plan for that. So tell me, right now, is the NFL exploiting Shedeur's hype for spectacle? Are the Browns being stripped of control over their own team? And can a rookie quarterback really survive this much pressure, this fast? Drop your take in the comments. Don't hold back. Smash that like if you're sick of seeing the league value content over competition. And subscribe if you want every twist and chaotic turn from the inside of this never-ending soap opera we call the NFL. Because this isn't a game anymore. It's a show. And Shedeur Sanders? He didn't sign up for this script. But the league already handed him the lead role. This isn't about Shedeur earning the job anymore. It's about how many eyeballs he can pull to a 1 p.m. kickoff. This is what happens when the NFL, the supposed pinnacle of competitive sports, starts playing by Hollywood rules. Think about it. The Browns didn't build around Sanders. They didn't protect him. They didn't even plan for him. They drafted him. Some say at the urging of higher powers in the league office, then stuck him behind two quarterbacks who wouldn't start on half the teams in the league. Then the league saw the numbers. Social engagement, TikTok views, training camp videos hitting 500,000 likes, Dion reposting clips, media figures calling him the future. And in a snap, everything changed. Not because Shedeur suddenly improved. He was always this good. But because the NFL realized he was marketable. And in this league, that matters more than readiness, more than fit, more than logic. Now the Browns find themselves in the exact place they never wanted to be. A team that's no longer steering the ship. They're just riding it and hoping it doesn't crash. Let's get uncomfortable for a second. Because the implications here are ugly. What happens if Sanders fails? Not because of a lack of talent, but because he's being rushed onto the field before the team, the system, the culture is ready to support him? The NFL won't own that. They'll shrug. Move on to the next viral QB. Blame the Browns for bad development. Blame Shedeur for not being ready. You've seen this before. It's not a new movie. RG3, Johnny Manziel, Zach Wilson. Hyped, branded, rushed. thrown into a meat grinder before the oven was even preheated. Because in today's NFL, you're not a player first. You're a product. And Shedeur? He's currently being marketed like a limited edition drop. And Cleveland? They're not being run like a team anymore. They're being run like a platform, a test case, a story generator, a canvas for the league to paint whatever narrative gets the most engagement. And that's the thing about spectacle. It's a beast that needs to be fed constantly. If Shedeur wins, cool. Post the highlight. Clip the mic'd up moment. Sell the jersey. Book the interviews. If he loses, even better. Now you've got a redemption arc. A rookie in crisis. A locker room divided. A franchise on the brink. Both outcomes drive engagement. It's not about the wins anymore. It's about the views. Now let's zoom out for a second. Because this goes beyond Shedeur. This is about the league's direction. About a system that no longer values development, only delivery. Rookies used to sit for a year or two. They used to learn, watch tape, get mentored, grow into the role. Now, they're content. You get drafted and 48 hours later your highlights are in a TikTok with 5 million views and a sponsorship deal from a sunglasses company you've never heard of. Your name trends more than your stats. You're a brand before you're a player. And for someone like Shedeur, who already walked into the league with followers, with swag, with the Sanders DNA, it's even more extreme. There's no ramp-up, no gentle rollout, just a rocket launch, straight into the stratosphere, with everyone watching. And the most dangerous part? If he stumbles, he won't be allowed to stumble quietly. Every interception will become a tweet storm. Every loss will turn into a debate about whether he's overrated, overhyped, or over his head. Pundits will circle like vultures. People who celebrated him 2 weeks ago will be calling for his benching. And the league? They'll stay silent. Because the drama still pays. This is what happens when you mix football with corporate media. When sports stop being about competition and start being about content cycles. And Shedeur is smack in the middle of it. Do you know how rare it is for a player to survive that? Not succeed, just survive. The pressure, the expectations, the manipulation. It crushes most of them. And yet, there's something different about Shedeur. Because even under the spotlight, even with the cameras and the chaos and the league breathing down his neck, he hasn't flinched. Not once. He still walks like a vet, talks like a leader, plays like he belongs. He hasn't cracked under the pressure. He's adapted to it. And that's what makes this whole thing so bittersweet. Because he can handle the lights. He can be the face of a franchise. But he deserves more than to be used by the league like some short-term hype engine. He deserves time, support, a team that's building around him, not just with him. He deserves a system that's thinking 5 years, not 5 weeks. Because if the Browns can protect him mentally, physically, emotionally, he could change everything. He could finally be the quarterback Cleveland's been waiting for since the dawn of time. But if the NFL keeps pulling the strings, keeps forcing him into high-stakes matchups for the sake of headlines, it's only a matter of time before the pressure becomes too much. Not because Shedeur can't handle it, but because no one should have to. And look, I get it. This is entertainment. This is business. This is the modern NFL. But at some point we have to ask, are we watching football? Or just a very expensive drama with really good production value? Because if it's the latter, we owe these players a hell of a lot more than applause and YouTube views. We owe them support, structure, respect. And we owe Shedeur Sanders the chance to be more than a headline. We owe him the chance to be a legend. This thing with Shedeur Sanders, it's not a moment. It's not a blip. It's a test. A test of what happens when a player becomes bigger than the team before he ever takes a snap. A test of what happens when the league, not the coach, not the GM, not the fans, starts dictating who plays, when and why. And more than that, it's a test of what happens when a human being is treated like a storyline instead of a quarterback. Let's zoom in on what's actually going down, behind the suits and statements and smiling media days, Here's what's happening in real time. The NFL sees gold in Shedeur Sanders. Not just potential, profit. They see the son of a Hall of Famer. The charisma, the look, the brand. This isn't just a football player. This is a fully formed media ecosystem. And that's dangerous. Because when a player's story starts to matter more than their development, the game warps. The priorities shift. It stops being about protection, growth, fit, and becomes all about spectacle. And the league? It lives for spectacle. You think it's a coincidence that the Browns suddenly jumped from "let's ease Shedeur" into he's starting in a must-win divisional game under national scrutiny? You think it's normal for a rookie to be at the center of a media frenzy before he's thrown a single regular season touchdown? Let's be real. This was orchestrated. The NFL wants a star. They need the next Mahomes, the next Brady, the next media magnet who gets people tuning in even when the team is losing. And Shedeur? He checks every single box. Even better, he's polarizing. To the league, that's not a bug, it's a feature. You've got the old school crowd saying he's more influencer than quarterback. You've got the new wave calling him the prototype of a modern player. You've got every analyst with a microphone debating him daily. The league loves this. Because what does all that discourse translate to? Engagement. And engagement? Money. So what's the Browns' role in this? They're the set piece, the backdrop, the tragic, lovable, chronically underachieving franchise being gifted a rising star. On one condition. Play him. Sell him. And don't mess it up. But that's the trap, isn't it? Because the Browns were never ready for this. This is a franchise that's barely figured out how to walk without falling over its own shoelaces. Now you're asking them to manage one of the most high-profile rookies in recent NFL memory? It's like handing a Lamborghini to someone who just got their learner's permit and saying, "Don't crash." And who gets hurt if they do? Shedeur. Because the league can walk away. The media will move on. The fans will forget. But the player? The person? He's the one who'll wear the label. Bust. Overhyped. Another Sanders who couldn't make it. And that's the worst part of this machine. It uses you until it breaks you. Then it tosses you into a cold list of forgotten names, filed under could have been. So let's ask the hard question. Is Shedeur being set up to succeed? Or is he just the latest rising star thrown into the fire to light up a few primetime slots, only to be blamed when the system around him collapses? Because let's be honest, the Browns have not created a quarterback-friendly environment. The line is inconsistent. The playbook is still tailored to whoever was under center last month. The coaching staff? Caught between wanting to develop Shedeur and being told to start him. And the locker room? It's watching. You better believe that veterans, especially those who've been around for a few cycles of the next guy, are observing this whole thing like it's an HBO drama. They're not just looking at Shedeur's talent. They're watching how he's being elevated. And if they sense it's not organic, that it's being forced by the league and ownership, that's when things fracture. Because it's one thing to earn the job. It's another to be handed it by executives in New York. That's how locker rooms split. That's how chemistry dies. And here's the scary part. None of this is Shedeur's fault. He's doing everything right. Working hard. Showing up. Staying composed. Performing under insane expectations. And yet, he's the one walking the tightrope. If he plays well, the league says, "See? Told you he was the next big thing." If he plays poorly, too much, too soon. Maybe he's not cut out for this. He can't win. Not yet. Because he hasn't been given the chance to grow without the spotlight blinding him. And now, it's not just the pressure of being a rookie quarterback. It's the pressure of carrying a media empire. So what's the answer? Well, maybe it's time for the Browns to reclaim control. Maybe it's time they push back. Tell the league, we hear you. But this is still our team. Put Shedeur in positions to succeed, not positions to sell tickets. Build around him, protect him, develop him like a person, not a profile. Because if they get this right, they're not just developing a quarterback. They're building a dynasty. But if they get it wrong, They're burning one of the most promising young careers in football and feeding it to the content machine. And that would be a tragedy. Because Shedeur Sanders has the poise, the presence, the tools, and the mind to be great. Truly great. But only if he's given the space to become that. Not rushed. Not manipulated. Not molded into a reality show character. Just let the kid play football. Shedeur Sanders? He's not just the knight or the rook in this game. He's the king piece everyone's watching, not because they want him to win, but because they want to see how he gets played. Let's call it what it is. The league isn't building a legacy. They're building narrative arcs. This isn't Rookie Takes Over Team. It's Act 1 of a 4-part series that ends with either a Super Bowl parade or a cautionary tale. And right now, they've skipped the build-up and gone straight to the climax. There's no slow burn here. No earned trust from the locker room. No structured mentorship behind the scenes. Just cameras, pressure, and an army of execs banking on Sanders to draw on numbers like he's a mid-season Netflix release. But let me ask you this. Where's the plan for his growth? Where's the system tailored to his style? Where's the patience to let him make rookie mistakes without turning them into content? It's not there. Because it was never about that. It was about momentum, hype, monetization. You feel that pit in your stomach yet? You should. Because we've seen this before. We've seen the league pick a name, slap a brand on it, and send it straight into the storm. And the question isn't, will Shedeur be good? It's, will they even let him? Because there's a difference between starting a quarterback and supporting him. There's a difference between a rookie who's being developed and a rookie who's being used. And that's what's at stake here. Not just a season. Not just a franchise. A career. So, if you're watching this thinking, this feels too big too fast, you're right. But that's the league now. Faster, louder, glossier. And in the middle of all that noise, there's a 21-year-old quarterback who might be everything the game needs. If the league doesn't chew him up first. So yeah, keep watching. But watch closely. Because what happens next won't just define Shedeur Sanders. It might define the NFL's future. You know the drill. Is this hype train going too fast? Can Shedeur stay on track with a league trying to drive? Comment your thoughts below. Like this if you think rookies deserve more than lights and pressure. And subscribe if you want every headline, every twist, every reality show level plot point that keeps turning football into a 3-ring circus. Because this story, it's still being written. And so far, it's anything but fiction.